Carl Jung was a Swiss psychoanalyst and disciple of Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. While Jung initially idolized Freud, he gradually became disenchanted with some of Freud's key ideas, leading to a rapid deterioration in their relationship. After a somewhat unpleasant break in their friendship, Jung went on to found a new branch of psychoanalysis that he called analytical psychology. In this video, I'm going to briefly describe some of Jung's main ideas and how they relate to dreams. Jung believed that over very long periods of time, the human mind evolved particular templates that help humans behave in given situations. He called these templates archetypes and believed that they were common to all human beings. Here's an example of how one of these archetypes might have originated. Over time, our ancestors started to realize that mothers provided safety, food, and love. Over the course of several generations, this awareness resulted in the formation of the mother archetype, which eventually became imprinted in the human mind. Once this imprint, the archetype, was created, every human being born thereafter inherited it. According to Jung, archetypes can be very adaptive, and in some cases, even vital to survival. For example, shortly after you were born, you faced situations in which interacting with your mother was necessary, such as when you wanted to feed. This situation activated the mother archetype, helping you find your mother's nipple, or cry if unsuccessful. You are probably thinking that this sounds very much like instincts.
What?
Well, that's because instincts and archetypes are two sides of the same coin. The difference is that instincts are physiological tendencies that can be observed as behavior. Archetypes, on the other hand, are like energy residing somewhere in your unconscious that drives your behavior. When archetypes surface into consciousness, they do so in the form of images, for example, in dreams or in art. So, according to Jung, archetypes generate instincts and images that influence your behavior without your awareness. Think of an idea you might have had that triggered a chain reaction of associations and led you to a particular solution. Maybe you thought this idea just spontaneously came to mind, but perhaps it was not spontaneous at all. An archetype could have been activated that led you to that idea. Also note that in Jung's theory and later Jungian thought, there are many archetypes that shape aspects of our personality. For example, the ruler archetype embodies leadership and our ability to establish authority. The explorer archetype represents our tendency to seek new adventures and explore the unknown. The lover archetype relates to our capacity for affection and deep emotional connection. And the sage archetype represents wisdom and the pursuit of knowledge. Naturally, individuals will express these archetypes differently. For example, if you are a very assertive person who values order above all else, perhaps you have a dominant ruler archetype. Or maybe you are a highly sensitive and romantic person, in which case you are mostly influenced by the lover archetype. Still, most archetypes will be present in everyone to some extent, and your entire personality is the result of a complex interaction among all these archetypes. When and which type of archetype is activated in your mind at any given moment largely depends on your current needs. For example, you needed to activate the mother archetype shortly after you were born, so this is probably one of the first archetypes you activated in your life. As we grow up, other archetypes become more relevant, such as the explorer when we start to navigate our environment as children, the lover when we begin to show interest in romantic relationships, and the sage, which becomes important for understanding and dealing with the complexities of life. Now, archetypes reside in a part of the unconscious mind called the collective unconscious and have been there from the day you were born. It's called collective because it is shared among human beings. We all possess the same types of archetypes, just in different degrees. In contrast, the personal unconscious is where all the repressed memories and mundane material that never reach consciousness are stored. The personal unconscious, unlike the collective unconscious, is unique to each and every one of us. That makes sense, right? My repressed memories are surely different from your repressed memories. At the top sits the ego, which contains our conscious sense of personal identity. Okay, but why are archetypes relevant to dreams? Well, Jung believed that one function of dreams is to compensate for certain conscious attitudes that cause an imbalance in the psyche. And, you guessed it, an imbalanced psyche is bad news. Say you are focusing a lot on your career and not paying enough attention to your emotional life. Most people would agree that this is unhealthy. You've got to balance work with having a life, right? So, Jung's reasoning was this. Just as our bodies contain self-regulating mechanisms that help when things start to go awry, for example, if you become overheated, you start sweating, dreams are one mechanism through which the psyche can be regulated. Jung believed that whenever a particular conscious attitude grew too strong, the unconscious would attempt to restore equilibrium by invoking archetypes in dreams. Let's continue with the career example. Your tendency to overwork and want to be the best all the time might reflect an over-reliance on the hero archetype, since this archetype embodies aspects such as ambition and a drive for excellence. In contrast, you might repress qualities associated with the mother archetype, such as nurture and love, making it difficult for you to form emotional bonds with others. Given this imbalance in your psyche, you might dream that you are fighting a terrifying monster, but no matter how many times you defeat it, it always comes back to haunt you again. You grow weaker and weaker after each encounter. Injured, you seek help from a nurse who blatantly ignores you. Since the dreamer is so focused on productivity and external success, the dream may be interpreted as a warning about the dangers of this endless striving for success. The nurse is a clear representation of the mother archetype, and the dream could be informing you that you need to be more caring toward your kin, because a nurse is associated with attributes like caring, support, etc. So, in unpleasant dreams such as these, archetypes can take a more negative shape. These images, however, are still expressions of your own unconscious and should not be neglected. In fact, these negative dream images offer an opportunity to recognize aspects of your personality that you should develop. In another video, I'll describe 3 core structures in Jung's model of the psyche and how they interact with archetypes, so be sure to check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.